One of my favorite activities to do in Red Dead Online is probably something that not everybody is into, but I like to do it, especially when you're sitting back listening to some music or a podcast, a live stream, or just hanging out with friends, or doing some dailies that involve fishing. For a while now, I have had an idea for what I would like to see in a hypothetical angler role for Red Dead Online. By the way, your thoughts, your views, and opinions about an angler role, whether you like the idea or don't like the idea, as always, welcome below in the comment section. By the way, I don't think that the angler role would work by itself. It would have to be very similar to Frontier Pursuits, and it should be included with at least one other role in a hypothetical future update. An angler role by itself it doesn't feel right. But it would be a fun, relaxing activity to do in Red Dead Online that could actually earn you some money and also some gold, because I would like very much for an angler role to also earn you gold nuggets. So the contact I envision for the angler role is the same character Arthur Morgan encounters in Red Dead Redemption 2, Jeremy Gill, the Fisherman. And he's the one who points Arthur towards the legendary fish in Red Dead Redemption 2. So I think it makes sense for Jeremy Gill to be the contact for the protagonist in Red Dead Online when it comes to the legendary fish as well as the angler role in Red Dead Online. And a few items that I would like to see in the angler role is a customizable improved fishing rod, which you could have a degree of customization for. Maybe put like a better reel, a better line on, better gauge quality, and it would actually allow you to not only catch legendary fish, but it would make it easier to go after medium and large fish, such as what I just caught a moment ago, the smallmouth bass, all the way up to northern pike, somewhere in between. A lot easier to catch fish with an improved, customizable, improved fishing rod. And I would also like the ability for the player to be able to carry more bait for those of you that like using bait, whether it's crickets, worms, crawfish, etc. And there's a lot more things I think that could be very beneficial when it comes to the angler role. For one thing, a lot of people want the ability to actually go in the middle of one of the rivers or Flatiron Lake and actually fish off a boat. So that would be one of the benefits to the angler role, would be the ability for the player to purchase boats and the ability to customize them and perhaps even upgrade boats, such as a rowboat, a canoe, perhaps one of the smaller steam-powered boats as well. And I think it would be fun just to be able to call in a boat every now and then, especially whenever there happens to be a fishing daily, or you want to go out in the middle of the lake and do some fishing. That would be pretty fun, especially if some of the legendary fish happen to spawn right in the middle of Flatiron Lake. Maybe you need a fishing boat in order to go after some of the fish. So similar to story mode, there is at least 14 legendary fish that you would be able to go after. But since it's Red Dead Online, let's double that number. Let's just say that there's going to be 2 variations of each fish in the game. And it's always possible that Rockstar could add additional fish species as legendary fish, but for now, let's just start with 28. So you have 2 variations of legendary bluegill, bullhead catfish, chain pickerel, as well as red pickerel, perch, rock bass. Let's just say those are the small legendaries. And then we'll move on to the medium-sized legendaries, which would include like legendary sockeye, salmon, along with legendary steelhead trout, legendary smallmouth bass, as well as legendary largemouth bass. Those would be what we would call the medium-sized legendary fish. And then we move up to the large legendaries, like, for example, the long-nosed gar, the lake sturgeon, the muskie, and then, of course, the northern pike. At the very least, 1 or 2 variations of each fish. Plus, oh yeah, I forgot the channel catfish as well. Probably 2 variations of the channel cat. It would obviously be a large legendary fish as well. And I believe the size would equate to how much you can make off these fish, similar to the regular versions of the fish in the game. Small makes the least amount of money for you, such as the bluegills, the bullheads. That makes you, what, I think 75 cents a fish. And you can make really good money catching northern pike, So I think the same premise could be here for the fish size. The smaller legendaries will make you some money and some gold. The mediums, a little bit more money and gold, but your best bet for making money and gold in Red Dead Online with the legendary fish is by catching the large legendaries. That would get you quite a bit of cash and gold nuggets in your pocket by going after the large legendary fish, but at the same time, it would probably be very similar to the legendary animals in Red Dead Online, where you would have to wait a few days to catch the same legendary fish again. But you could always go after all the other legendary fish as well, especially if there's at least 28 to go after. And they could also add some different types of trout, different types of salmon, other types of catfish, gar, bass, etc. And I know some people would like to be able to go back to Guarma one day. Maybe they could add some unique sea fish, like sea bass, for example. You know, have some Chilean sea bass, or maybe some shark, or some other fish from salt water to catch as legendary fish off the shores of Guarma, even though chances are we're probably never going to be able to go to Guarma in Red Dead Online unless Rockstar so chooses to use that as a PvP mode. But one can dream. So along with the legendary fish, what would be the purpose of the legendary fish besides simply catching them, I guess, for bragging rights and for making a little bit of money and a little bit of additional gold nuggets? You would have the ability to decorate the walls of your homes and properties. Bear in mind, this is hypothetically after we get properties finally in Red Dead Online. Maybe this year we'll finally get properties. And maybe we'll have the ability to customize the interior of our properties, maybe put up some trophies. It would be kind of cool if we had the means to decorate our walls with the legendary fish that we happen to have caught. Now, when it comes to the taxidermy aspect of legendary fish, you could hypothetically go to Gus to do it if you want to make it simplistic and have it to where you just take your legendary fish to Gus, you sell them to Gus, and by selling legendary fish to Gus, he can taxidermy or stuff a fish for you for your wall in your home, in your mansion, in your cabin. I think that it actually makes more sense to go with a character that also exists in Red Dead Redemption 2. Elle Hobbs, she is the taxidermist you eventually encounter in Red Dead Redemption 2. So I think that it makes more sense for her to be the individual you get put in contact with through Jeremy Gill for the protagonist to get their legendary fish stuffed for the wall. So obviously you would go to Elle Hobbs. She would buy your fish from you. Then similar to the legendary pelts, she would charge you a certain amount of money for you to get this legendary bass or legendary salmon, legendary bluegill, legendary pickerel. You get the idea, stuffed and turned into a trophy so you can put on the wall of your home, your mansion, your cabin, your shack. Obviously, the size of the home would depend on how much room you have on the wall to put some of your legendary fish. So that'd be kind of cool, a way to brag about all these legendary fish that you caught, and just something else for you to do in the game. Maybe even include additions to the animal field guide, where if you catch a fish or a certain number of legendary fish, you can stamp it and send it to Harriet, and she'll pay you for catching a certain number of legendary fish. So that is also an option as well when it comes to fishing. Some of the upgrades I would like for this angler role to include once again the ability to carry more bait, as well as carry more fish in your satchel. Passive mode while fishing is something that we've been asking for quite a while now, because one of the worst scums and villainy in Red Dead Online are griefers that like to kill players that are simply fishing along the edge of a lake, a pond, a stream, or a river, just minding their own business, catching some trout or some pickerel or bluegill or catfish, and they're easy targets for players like that. I think that would be awesome if we had the ability through the angler role to go into passive mode while fishing so that other players could not get an easy kill off of us anglers. In addition to carrying more fish in your satchel, I think you should have the ability to get twice as much fish whenever you break down any of the fish, whether it's like gritty fish meat, flaky fish meat, succulent fish meat. Every time you break down a fish from a bluegill up to a trout or a salmon or a largemouth, smallmouth bass, you get twice as much meat depending on the fish you happen to be breaking down. So that would be awesome if not only you could carry more fish, but you could get twice the amount of fish meat from breaking down the small and medium-sized fish. And what would be also cool is if you had the ability to break down the regular large fish as well. So that would be awesome. At the moment, you really can't do anything with the large fish in the game except for basically just sell them to the butcher. So that would be another ability as well, to break down the larger fish in the game, like the sturgeons, the muskie, the gar, the northern pikes, the channel catfish, and that would give you even more like pieces of fish meat depending on what types of fish meat each of those large fish happen to contain. Another upgrade I would like to see is towards the hunting wagon for anglers, which would allow players to stow twice as many large fish. So speaking of large fish, it would be nice if we could put even more large fish like the northern pike, the muskie, the lake sturgeons into our hunting wagon than we are currently allowed to stow into the hunting wagon. Other upgrades I would like to see, courtesy of the angler roll, would tie into your horse, which would allow your horse's stam to last longer whenever it's going across water, and it would actually swim faster whenever it's in a body of water, like for example the Flatiron Lake. So that would be very beneficial for your horse, whether you're an angler or not, but it would be further incentive for players to want to do the angler roll. You would also get some unique roll clothing items specifically for the angler roll, as well as a camp theme at the camp, which would have a very angler fisherman theme to it. I know it's been a while since we've had new themes added to the camp. It'd be nice if we did for the Moonshiner and Naturalist rolls. Maybe Rockstar's just given up on camp themes, but still at the same time it would be kind of cool if you had an angler theme over at the camp along with some unique fisherman style clothing. I would also think that it would be a good idea with fish, all types of fish, from regular fish, small, medium, large fish, to the legendary fish. If with the angler roll you would also have the ability to donate those fish, similar to animals and pelts and all other parts, to crypts, so that it would count as further materials for your trader roll. So with the angler roll, it would actually be beneficial to the trader roll, because now you would be able to donate all that fish. If you don't want to sell it, if you have plenty of money, when you're starting off, fishing is a great way to make money in Red Dead Online. But there's a lot of players, once they get further along in the game and they have all the rolls and they've ranked up their character and they have money and gold, they're less inclined to go to the butcher table. It would be very beneficial if you could take the fish you catch and simply just donate them to Crips, and it would just count as more materials that he would use towards crafting goods for you to sell through the trader roll. And finally, I would like to see some boat races. One of my subscribers, Arclight, has been wanting boat races in Red Dead Online for quite a while now. And since we'd have the ability to not only purchase but customize and upgrade a variety of boats in Red Dead Online, I think that would be a fun PvP activity for them to add to Red Dead Online, the ability to have a variety of boat races, whether with rowboats, canoes, the personal steamboats, etc. So that would probably be the, I guess you could say, the free roam event that they would add, or maybe they would add a new like boat themed fishing event, because we already have fishing free roam events. So maybe they have one where everybody is fishing from a boat in the middle of the Flatiron Lake, and I don't know how that would work, but those are some ideas I have for PvP modes, free roam events. Not that many, but at the same time, I think that a lot of players in the game that enjoy fishing in Red Dead Online would absolutely love an angler roll. And once again, I don't think this roll should be a standalone roll. I think it should be included with another roll as well, or perhaps even like an expansion to the trader roll. Maybe this is an expansion to the trader roll, for example. Maybe that's what would work best, is if this would be like the evolution, the next step of the trader roll is an angler roll, because as I pointed out a moment ago, it would be awesome if you could just simply donate fish to Crips. That would count for materials as well. So that does actually make sense. Anyways, that is the angler roll, my ideas for it. And is there anything you'd like to see in addition to everything I put out there regarding a hypothetical angler role? Do you like this idea? Do you dislike this idea? Your thoughts, your views, and opinions regarding an angler role in Red Dead Online, as always, welcome below in the comments section.